In the Know, a radio program talking to the newsmakers in Ogle, Lee, DeKalb counties and beyond, keeping you in the know. Here's your host, Charles Van Horn.
Good morning. Happy Sunday. Joining us in the studio, Steve Katzman, acting president of Creston Booster Days. Good morning.
Good morning.
Going to be a big event coming up in Creston, 67th annual. Can you believe it's been going on that many years in a row?
Yes, and it's also the 70th anniversary of the founding of the Creston Booster Club back in 1954.
So they went 3 years without a Booster Days and then, decided to have a party.
Until the Creston Booster Days was actually founded. Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time. That's coming up September 13th, 14th, and 15th. A theme this year, you guys are doing something fun with the Booster Days, celebrating a certain decade.
Yes, the fabulous 50s.
So a lot of sock hop type things. Did you guys have a bunch of brainstorming meetings about that, about how to bring that to life in Creston?
Well, we try to have a interesting theme every year, and this is what our group came up with.
Seems like it's going to be fun and colorful. A lot of events planned all weekend long. We'll talk about breaking that down. But if you haven't been to Creston, it's a great, charming small town. A couple of quaint businesses there, and easy to get to right there along 38. Plus, you have the railroad through the middle of town. Always an important part of the town too, right? The railroad is sort of one thing that makes Creston a unique community, I think, because it's got like a thoroughfare right through the middle of it.
Yes, and the interesting thing is when we have our parade on Sunday, you can usually expect 2 or 3 trains in the hour of our parade.
Does that hold things up a little bit?
It has, and it's been kind of interesting at times.
So let's hope the marching bands don't get split up. Friday night, you guys are going to kick things off with some chow and some entertaining activities as well, right?
Yes, the head and steak fry is always great. Skinner's Amusements for the last couple of years has had rides on Friday night, and we're also having a band Friday night called the Killer Bees.
Good times. Yeah, good Friday night kicking things off September 13th. Friday the 13th, hope that's not an omen or anything for you guys.
Hope not either.
And then Creston Booster Days rolls on. You talked about music with the Killer Bees. You have some other bands coming in throughout the weekend, right?
Yes. On Saturday afternoon, we have a band from the Madison, Wisconsin area called Marcy and the Highlights. They do a great variety of music. And after that, and then from 6 to 9, we have Wildwood Country.
And then there's another band coming in on Sunday, right?
Yes. On Sunday afternoon, we have a local band from 1 to 4 called Bills to Pay.
Bills to Pay. Now, that's not as in like telephone bills. That's a reference to somebody named Bill with a hairpiece, isn't it?
I believe so. I've never heard them perform, but I hear they're very good.
What a great name for a band. Bills to Pay. They're playing on Sunday. Creston's a small town, so when those bands are cranking it up, you can probably hear it everywhere.
Yes. I live on the other side of town, and I can usually hear it from my backyard.
How about that? Plenty of places to park, though, around town for Creston Booster Days. How many years have you been involved with Creston Booster Days, Steve?
I've been involved about 10 years now. My wife and I both.
Yeah. And good turnout most years, weather permitting, probably?
Yes. In the 10 years I've been involved, I think we were only rained out one time.
Wow. It's always great, these small town festivals. People who've moved away from Creston, do you see them come back into town for the weekend?
Yes, we've had many people return. We've even had people as far away as Arkansas come back for the weekend to their hometown. Hang
out in the beer garden and connect with all the old folks and have a great time. That beer garden, of course, that's where the bands will be performing?
Actually, the bands are on stage.
Oh, they're on the stage then.
But it's right next to the beer garden. Yes.
Perfect, yes, because that does go together, live music and cold beverages in hand.
Yes.
So if people come from all over to come back home to enjoy Booster Days, but you've got other events going on besides beer and music. Going to have some engines roaring as well. Tractor pulls happening.
Yes, this year we have the Weekend Pullers, a group out of the Boone County area coming in with older antique tractors.
Okay.
We're expecting somewhere between 100 and 150 tractors.
Wow.
Tractor pull.
And that starts, I think, at 10 a.m. on Sunday. And then, of course, the famous parade on Sunday.
Yes.
Have you been in the parade before? Are you in the parade this year?
I'm usually in the parade with the winner of the Cedar Home Award. I usually take them to the parade. I've also been with the retired fire chiefs.
Okay.
I've had them on a wagon, and also with the founding members of our vintage baseball team.
Vintage baseball. Now, I've seen that played once. That is something that is very interesting to me now, because that's baseball way back in the day. No gloves, right?
Correct. It's rules from the late 1800s.
Yeah. So, yeah, and there's no, there's bases, but they're sort of where they end up, right? I mean, there's not a lot of measuring going on in vintage baseball.
No. They're just out there to have fun. It's a blast to watch.
Yeah, and they wear the silly socks and
the vintage uniforms
and no gloves, and that's the part that's crazy.
Yes.
And the rules are, if I remember right, like you swing until there's a hit. I think, right? Isn't there like no strikes or something like that? There's a lot of silly rules that takes a while to understand.
Right. Correct.
Yeah, but it's always a fun time. And is there going to be a vintage baseball game?
Yes, actually, this year we're having a triple header.
Wow.
The Oregon Ganymedes are going to be here against Creston. And then a group from DuPage is going to be here against Creston. And then the last game will be DuPage in Oregon.
And where will the vintage baseball games be at?
That will be right behind our grade school across the street from the Booster Park.
And that's all within walking distance in Creston.
Correct.
Because everything is within walking distance in Creston. So that's happening on Sunday. Skinner's Amusements, you guys are going to have rides in town all 3 days, right?
Correct. Friday night, all day Saturday from 1 to 9 p.m. And then on Sunday from 1 to 5.
That'll be fun. Let's talk about your appetite. Now, you mentioned the steak fry on Friday night. Let's talk about something firefighters are good at. Well, firefighters are good at two things. I've said this many times. One, putting out fires, and two, cooking breakfast. If it's one thing, apparently, I think in the Firefighting Academy, they spend 3.5 weeks talking about fighting fires, and then they spend 3 days on pancakes.
Yes, that's become an annual tradition, and that is not at the Booster Park. It's going to be at our fire station downtown from 7 to 10:30 on Saturday morning.
And that's always delicious when firefighters cook a copious amount of pancakes, all part of the second day of Creston Booster Days. Steve Katzman joining us, acting president of the Creston Booster Club. Now, obviously, Booster Days is one of your big events throughout the year, but what else does the Booster Club do throughout the year in and around Creston? What other events or activities do you guys take part in?
Well, we do a lot of rentals of our hall for various events. This fall, we're hosting a quilting event.
Oh.
It's going to bring people from all over the nation. They host a lot of, we've had in the past, we've had weddings there, dinners, and that's one of our main, the main things we do with the money we raise from Booster Days. We support local causes, schools, charities, things of that nature.
That's good. And Creston being a small town, it's nice to see that much cooperation and community support for something like that, and for you guys to keep a venue available for people in the community to rent, to use, to host things, as opposed to having to go somewhere out of town to do stuff. I mean, that's great that you guys maintain and keep a facility like that open in a town the size of Creston.
Correct. And over the last 15 years or so, the building has been almost totally remodeled and renovated.
Yeah, so keeping it nice and shiny. Now, was it like those old community halls? Did it have like a bowling alley in the basement or any other oddities to it originally?
I think its claim to fame is years ago they used to have bingo games down there every, I believe, Thursday nights.
Yeah.
Was the big thing. And they said there'd be people down there smoking cigars and just having a great old time.
Nowadays, you would not see too many cigars at bingo events. Different crowd.
Yes.
Different crowd for bingo events now. Creston Booster Days, the 67th annual Creston Booster Days, coming up next weekend. Of course, the pork chop barbecue on Sunday. I keep going back to food, maybe because I'm already hungry today. Another pork chop barbecue on Sunday starting at 1. Where is that going to be at? Is that going to be at the park?
Yes, that'll be right by the main pavilion in the park.
And that interferes with the parade time, by the way. So that's a lot of decisions to be made there, whether you're going to want to watch the parade or eat. Maybe you can do both, right? Or is it a short enough walk?
Yes. It's only a couple of blocks.
And also the bingo going to be happening. You talked about bingo before. You guys have bingo at Booster Days.
Yes, that'll be in the bus barn. And this year, we've a little different theme there. We've got celebrity bingo callers.
Ooh.
People from the area. A lot of people you'd be familiar with.
I didn't get invited to be a celebrity bingo caller. Just so you know, I feel kind of hurt, Steve.
Well, if we have a cancellation, we'll put you in there.
And of course, you guys have a big drawing. Of course, a lot of places do these sort of fundraiser drawings. You guys have a 50-50 that you're going to run. Now, does that go all weekend, or is the 50-50 underway already?
We've been selling tickets now for about a month.
Okay.
And the drawing will be at 5 o'clock on Sunday afternoon at the end of the festival.
What's the ballpark for the jackpot size? What's your feeling? What's your gut telling you?
We're hoping for maybe around $2,000.
Nice. Well, if somebody wants to get 50-50 tickets, can they reach out to you or other Booster Club members to get them in advance?
Any member has them, and they will be available on the grounds.
And that's going to be during Creston Booster Days, September 13th, 14th, and 15th of this year, coming up next weekend. Do you guys have like a Facebook page or someplace where you can find out more about Booster Days?
Yes, we're on Facebook, Creston, Illinois Boosters.
Excellent. Easy and convenient to find. Steve, of course, always is acting president of the Booster Club. You wear another hat, too. You're also a member of the Village Board of Creston. And you guys work hard to try to stay ahead of things in a town that size. There's always something going on that you guys are either trying to make better or at least keep going in Creston. And a lot of things have come up over the last couple of months. You guys have had your share of water issues, and that's sort of been a bit of a thorn in your sides at times to stay ahead of that. But you got positives, too, and you got to appreciate the fact that Creston's going to be getting a big, beautiful library soon.
Yes, I just went by there today, and they're putting the finishing touches on the roof.
Yeah, so I mean that there's definitely things happening. Obviously, you guys have worked hard as well, the village president and other people too, about getting the subdivision back underway and having growth happening again in Creston with new home construction. That's got to be impressive.
Yes, as a matter of fact, they're pouring the foundation and basement walls for a brand new house this morning.
That's incredible. I mean, how long has it been since really new construction's been a thing in Creston? You know, it's been a number of years, I think.
Yeah, it was going very well in the early 2000s, and then the housing crisis in 2008 really slowed things down and kind of went to a standstill. But they've cleaned the place up, and it's looking very nice lately.
Yeah, I think next spring you're going to see a lot of movement out there. Steve, thank you so much for joining us. Creston Booster Days coming up September 13th, 14th, and 15th. We look forward to seeing you there, and save me some pancakes Saturday morning, all right?
Okay. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this week's In the Know. The program returns next week at this time with another great conversation with someone from your community.